Pranams to all. I am Professor Valliyappan Raju. It's a privilege to be part of this conference. We had a great morning session. I really thank each and every one of you to come back for this refreshing session today in afternoon. So the morning session was so unique as we were having, a lot of professors and eminent people presenting about the past and present and also about the future. It's very unique. And we had Professor M.D. Srinivasan sir was giving an insightful talk, and Professor Pai, and along with Professor Ramanathan, right from plenary until vote of thanks, and all the presentation was very unanimous. So I thank the professors. Without any further delay, already we are running short of delay. Without any further delay, I would like to move forward. The next agenda is the technical talk by Professor K. Ramasubramanian. Professor Rama K. Subramanian is not only a renowned Sanskrit scholar, but also a knowledgeable historian, dedicated Vedic teacher, and respected contemporary philosopher. His global recognition stems from his expertise in the history of Indian science, particularly in mathematics and astronomy. He has an undergraduate degree in engineering, PhD in theoretical physics, and has a distinction of successfully completing the Tenali Pariksha, one of the toughest exams on the Vedas. His work and teachings inspire a new generation to explore India's scientific heritage and contribute to its preservation. Professor Ramasubramanian has played a crucial role in fostering a technological ecosystem for collecting, preserving, and digitizing Sanskrit manuscripts and text in searchable form. Reputed universities, educational boards, policymakers, and institutions worldwide frequently seek his perspectives and counsel. He served as a named consultant to the new Educational Policy 2020 and actively participates in various forms of education-focused governing bodies in India. Professor Ramasubramanian has been elected as a member of International Union of History and Philosophy, Science and Technology, IUPHST, and UNESCO to promote the history of science in India. We still have more, sir. Additionally, he is a fellow at the Indian National Science Academy and serves as a chair of the History of Science and Committee. Sir, we look forward for your enlightening session. Please, sir.
Okay, thanks for the kind introduction. Namaste to one and all. So this particular talk will be focusing on one of the Vedangas called Chanda Shastram. Chanda Shastram basically can be understood as a study of the metrical forms. So we have literature in the form of prose and poetry. The poetry has a variety of metrical forms and rhythms. So this is something which is well developed in India even in the time of Rig Veda. So Rig Veda is also composed in metrical form, and after that, having studied these metrical forms, a certain discipline of study has developed, and this is what we call as Chanda Shastram. In that particular Chanda Shastram, I will be focusing specifically on a kind of meter which will be called as Arya meter. We will introduce all that. So some of you who are from Tamil background, so you know there is something called Venba, there are various kinds of things. So similarly, here in Sanskrit we have a very large variety, so that is what we will be basically introducing, and then I will take you to technical part. Okay, next. How old is this study of Chanda Shastram? As I told you, this is one of the 6 Vedangas, and it has been listed even in the Mundakopanishad. So we have Tatra Apara, Rigvedo, Yajurveda, Samavedo, Atharvaveda, Shiksha Kalpo, Vyakaranam, Chandaha, Niruktam, Chandaha. See, there we find the word Chandaha appearing in the Mundakopanishad. Similarly, there are other Upanishads also which talk of variety of Shastras. We have interesting dialogue between Sanat Kumara and Narada appearing in Chandogya Upanishad. There also we find something. Then, as a text, we find Pingala's Chanda Shastra. It has been conservatively estimated to have been composed around 3rd century BCE. Okay, Pingala Naga. So we have Panini who has composed on Vyakarana. So a lot of sutras. Similarly, Pingala Naga has composed a set of sutras called Chandas Shastram. Okay. How many of you do not know this Sanskrit script? Okay, not a large population. Pingaladibhir acharyehi yaduktam laukikam dvidha matra varna vibhedena chandas adiha kathyate. So this is an interesting verse which we find at the beginning of Vrittaratnakara. So there the point to be noted here is, see, matra varna vibhedena. Oh, this pointer will not point on the screen. Yeah, it will not be seen. Matra varna vibhedena. See, so the metrical form can be either analyzed from the number of syllables that we use or from the number of beats that we count. So here by beat we mean a certain duration of time. So matra varna vibhedena chandaha tadiha kathyate. So I am going to talk about two kinds of chandas. Okay. Matra chandas and akshara or varna chandaha. Suppose we have this name Kalyana Rama, let us say Kalyana Rama. Okay, we have 5 syllables. Is it clear? Kalyana Rama. Janaki, suppose I say it is 3 syllables. Now in the 3 syllables Janaki, you take more time to pronounce Ja, then Na, then Ki. Okay. So this Ja will be called as Guru, Na is called a Laghu, short, and then Ki is again Guru. So Ja, Na, Ki. Suppose I have 3 syllables, but when I were to count the number of matras, a Guru is given 2 matras and a Laghu is given 1 matra. So I have 5 matras in Janaki. Ja 2, Na is 1 and Ki is 2. So this is how one needs to understand matra. There are 3 varnas, but there are 5 matras in Janaki. Suppose I were to say Sita. So I will have 4 matras, 2 syllables. Suppose I were to say Rama, I have again 2 syllables, but 3 matras. Ra is 1 and Ma is 2. So this should be very clear to us. This Guru, Laghu, and then how do we count matras? Okay. So now the metrical pattern can either be recognized through the number of syllables and a certain pattern within those syllables, or it can be purely based on the matras. Okay. Now let me move on to give you an overview of this Chandas Shastra. It is made of 8 chapters. Panini's is also called Ashtadhyayi. This is also called Ashtadhyayi. And here the number of sutras is 308. This is how it is distributed. In chapter 1 we have 15, 2 16, third is a long one 66, and then it goes on. The 8th chapter has 35 sutras. The first and the last chapters are something which are very unique here in this. The first chapter is exclusively devoted to introduce you certain terminologies which are going to be followed in the rest of the chapters. So it is 15 sutras. All the 15 sutras are meant to give you the technicalities that are required for you to understand. Okay. So this is certain nomenclature, you can say. This technically they may call as Samnya Sutra. Okay. So this is the first chapter. Now when we move on to the last chapter, so that has a lot of mathematics in it. So we will touch upon primarily these two, and in between also I will be taking you through the 4th chapter. Okay. Chandaha is Matrakshara Sankhya Niyata Vak. I can use this. See. Matrakshara Sankhya Niyata Vak. Vak means a speech which is constrained either by the number of syllables or the number of beats. So this is what we call as Chandaha. So otherwise we will not be able to make a distinction between prose and poetry. After all, prose is also a set of words, poetry is also a set of words, But then when you are constrained to use the number of syllables of the beats in a particular manner, then you call it as a poetry. Okay, that is chandaha. Two types, as I told you. And it has been emphasized in our literature that one need not necessarily be reciting without knowing the metrical pattern, but one has to pay attention to that. If you take Rig Veda text, if any of you have seen, before a mantra or a certain portion starts, they will say in which it has been composed. So this is the Rishi, this is the Devata, this is the Chandas that has been employed. In a particular thing itself, you may find so a lot of variations. So first may be in Jagati, second may be in Anushtup, third may be in something else. This kind of variations you will see in a particular section. Okay. So this stanza here, Yova avidita arsheya chandodaivata brahmanena yajayati va adhyapayati va sthanum va richati gartam va padyate va mriyate papiyan bhavati. So it has been strongly criticized that without knowing this chandas, this mantras should not be actually employed. I mean, in order to emphasize that, it is said papiyan bhavati, means you may be a sinner if you do not. It is like, see, I became a professor, without knowing the subject, if I go on teaching, then I am a sinner, right? It is in this sense, I mean, they are trying to emphasize the importance of this. Okay, there is an interesting commentary which has been authored on this Chanda Sutra, which are extremely useful. This particular commentary is extremely useful. So, for instance, suppose you were to take the study of Vedanta, then this Brahma Sutras cannot be understood without the commentary. Similarly, this Chanda Sutras cannot be fully understood without the commentary, and fortunately, we have a wonderful commentary by Halayudha. And this has been called Mrita Sanjeevani. So perhaps Halayudha felt that at some point, so the Shastra is not thoroughly understood, and therefore he wanted to revive, and he gave the name Mrita Sanjeevani. The point that I want to emphasize by this quotation, these are the Mangala Shlokas in the Halayudha's commentary. He says, Kshirabdher amritam yadvat dhritam devais sadanavaihi chandobdhev pingalacharyihi chandomritam tathodhritam. So this is what he says. So as from the Kshirabdhi Mathana, okay, we had this Amrita which was brought out. Similarly, the ocean of Chandas, so this Pingalacharya has brought out the Chandomritam. Okay, and the importance has been stated, Kavinam Nayanam. Okay, so this is considered as a Nayanam means eyes. Okay. What has mathematics got to do with Chandas? So I will explain that in a short while. This will become clear. And Pingalacharya's time, as I was mentioning, so it is almost some 2400 years before. Then, so this Guru Laghu, I just told you, just to recall, Guru means 2 beats of time, Laghu is 1 beat of time. Suppose I were to say Shiva. How many syllables? How many beats? 2 syllables. Beats? No, Shiva. Shiva, if I say, it will be 3. Shiva, right? Shiva. Short, okay? 2 beats, 2. Okay. Rama, if I say, it is 3 beats. 2 plus 1. Okay? Very good. So this is something which we need to keep in mind. The question that are being asked here is, given a certain number of beats, in how many ways you can fill it up? Is it clear? Suppose I give you 4 beats of time. I can have a word Sita, correct? It will take 4 beats. Okay. Suppose I were to say Parama, Parama, suppose I say Parama, okay, Ramana, suppose I were to say, short, short, long, this is another form, right? So this also can be had, short, short and then long, this is 4 beats again. So we can have Viramanam, suppose Viramana, suppose we say, then we have all short, Viramana. So we can have a variety of forms. So this is what one means by how many patterns you can have given the number of beats. And given a certain number of syllables, how many patterns can be generated? This will all be clear as we move through. Okay? Okay. Now there is a certain technical term which we call as pratyaya. So pratyaya in Sanskrit has a variety of meanings. So pratyaya is used for those of you who are familiar. So there is a suffix, if it is added, it is called pratyaya in Sanskrit. Okay? Suffix is called pratyaya. And pratyaya also refers to a faith, okay, a confidence, vishvasa. There are various meanings which are associated with the word pratyaya. So here this a few things which are considered under the topic pratyaya, which we may not deal with thoroughly, but I am just telling you. If we know all those things, then there will be a certain confidence in, so it is perhaps it is why it is called pratyaya. And the algorithms that have been presented in this has very interesting mathematical, but I will not get deep into this mathematics now, but I just wanted to give you that certain important topics in mathematics which we may call as binary arithmetic, combinatorial techniques, Meru Prasthara, which we generally call as Pascal's triangles. Okay? So all of them arise in the context of the study of Chandas Shastra. So we may be familiar with binomial coefficients. See, a plus b whole square, suppose I say a square plus 2ab plus b square. This 1, 2, 1, they are all called binomial coefficients. Okay. So they are all arising in the context of this, and more importantly, this Fibonacci. This Fibonacci is not his actual name. His name is Leonardo. He was in Pisa, and he was a 12th century or 13th century, close to that. So there are a variety of mathematical things that arise out of the study of Chandas Shastra. This is all I wanted to give you. And the mathematics arises in a variety of contexts. So here a famous mathematician called Mahaviracharya, so he presents a very interesting opening towards his text. He says, you cannot have your day-to-day affairs without knowing much of mathematics, whether it is cooking, whether it is poetry, whether it is dance, so whether it is chandas, whether it is laukika, whatever it is, whether it is vaidya, see how much of thing has to go into. So it is all proportion. So everywhere you need mathematics. This is what he is trying to say. And in Chandas Shastra also we have, you see, he says Chandolankara kavyeshu tarkavyakaranadishu. Everywhere you need mathematics. Okay, now this slide is something which you need to note. It is for this reason I am displaying. You have a certain manuscript in Malayalam script. See, that is what is displayed there. Okay, and below I have put that in Devanagari script. You see, when the text is being studied, so this person is also marking something over it. Okay, this is a manuscript which was used by someone called Charles Wish, who is a British person who was employed here in East India Company. He was studying this. So he was learning this mathematics which was prevalent in Kerala in the Malayalam script with some scholars in the local tradition. In his notebook you find this. So for those of you who may know Malayalam, you may be able to read it, but those who do not know, you see, so sama panchahatayaha. This is just important for us to note. Sa is short, ma is short, panch. See, panch, it is a conjunct consonant. So it takes a little more time, therefore that is Guru. You see here, this is Sa, this is Ma, and Panch. So he uses a semicircle kind of a thing, semicircle, and then he uses a horizontal bar. See? So in those days, people when they are taught, even if you look into some of these commentaries, they will always introduce a particular verse by the name of the meter which has been chosen to compose that verse. They will say Vasanta Telakaya Aha, Aryaya Aha, Anuštubha Aha. This is how they will introduce. Now this person while learning, he has also learnt this. See, that is what I wanted to tell you. Sa, ma, panch. And you see a vertical bar there. So this denotes a certain break. Okay. So the whole sequence of letters will be divided into 4 matras, and wherever the 4 matra ends, he puts a vertical bar. See, sa, ma, panch. Panch is a Guru, therefore Laghu, Laghu, Guru. You have 4 beats. Then you see Chahata. See, Chahata. You see, initially short, short, long. Then you have long, short, short. Is it clear? The notations. So it goes like this. Then you have Yo, Ya. See, these are the 2 words, long, long. Therefore he puts once again a break. And then you see Rupa. See, Rupa. Again you have a vertical break. So he is basically dividing the sequence of letters that are available into 4 beats. This is something which you need to keep in mind for what I am going to take you through later in the Arya meter. This is a specific. Now we are going to leave a particular group. I told you there are 2 types of meters. One is based on the count of the syllables, the other is based on the count of the matras. Now when you count the matras also, again there is a division which is being created. At the end of every 4 matra you give a break and then you mark it. This is something which we need to keep in mind. So it is for this I am just telling you that these kinds of things. Suppose you go to the next one, Ta, Phis. See, this is again Guru, Guru. So in the second half also he just makes this marking. So if you go here, you just see, so this is something which all are short. So this is how you break. This is called a Gana in Sanskrit. Okay, so you don't worry about what is being written. So the content of this verse is basically this equation below. Okay, so Sama, just to give you a flavor, see how it is presented. Sama Pancha Hatayaha. Pancha means 5. Ahati means multiplication. Sama Pancha Hatayaha means you take a certain number, multiply it by 5 times. What do you get? That number to the power of 5. Correct? So that is what you find here. 1 to the power of 5. 3 to the power of 5. 5 to the power of 5. Sama Pancha Hatayaha. Ya Rupadi Ayujaha. Ayuk means odd number. Yuk means even number. So all the odd numbers have to be raised to power 5. So this is how the verse goes, but that is not of significance to us now. So this has mathematics. If you look into the patterns that you find here, I use this notation, this S kind of a structure for a Guru and the vertical bar for a Laghu. Okay? So this is the notation that we will be adopting. So you find, suppose I give you 3 syllables, the patterns that you can have is Guru, 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 Laghu, Guru, 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 Laghu, Guru, Laghu, Laghu, Guru, and so on. You come to Laghu, 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 right? So if you count the number of beats, here you will have 6. If you go here, here it will be 3. Okay? So let us leave that for the moment. This is just to give you the patterns. Now we focus on the matra count. So look at this table now. If I give you only 1 matra, how many patterns can you have? only one, right? I give you one matra time, you can have only one. I give you two matras, so you can have two patterns. I can have two laghus and one guru. Clear? If I give you three matras, I can have laghu, 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 then I can have a guru laghu or a laghu guru. Okay? So look at this. If I give you four, I can have five patterns. Is it clear? So this is what we are going to deal with little later. This should be very clear. If I give you four matras, then I can have five patterns which are possible. Okay? So here, what has been done by these people, these kinds of patterns will be given some names also, which I will introduce in a short while. How this has been presented in the form of a sutra can be seen from this. See, you have the sutra, Gau, Gantamadhya, Dirnlascha. This is a sutra in Pingala's Chandas Shastra. So the patterns that you see here, see the five patterns that you see here, have been all listed in this sutra. How does he list? Gau. Ga stands for Guru. Gau means two Gurus. Okay, it is four matra. This is one pattern. That is what I am showing here. Then, see, Ganta. Ganta means this Guru is at the end. You understand? So you start with Gau, then Guru is at the end, Guru is at the middle, Guru is at the beginning. Ganta, Gamadhya, Gadi. Okay? And then you have Nlascha. This Nla basically means there is a, suppose you go back here for a moment. See, this Laghu, Laghu, Laghu is called as a Nagana. Okay? These letters here, Guru, Guru will be called as Magana, Laghu, Laghu will be called as Nagana. A is missing here. There is one more thing that you need to see here. You please notice this, the sixth row, it is called Jagana. What is the pattern of it? Laghu, Guru, Laghu. Clear? Just keep this in mind. So if I say Nagana, it means three Laghus. If I say Jagana, it means Laghu, Guru, Laghu. If I say Magana, it means Guru, Guru, Guru. Just keep this in mind. Okay. Now, Lau, here when he says Nagana and Laghu, that is all it means. That thereby you will have four beats, correct? Nagana has three Laghus and La is one. So that is how you have this four. Okay. So I told you this Fibonacci thing arises in this. If you look at this previous table, you see, so if you have 1, 1, 1 plus 1 will be 2, so you 1 plus 2 will be 3 and 2 plus 3 will be 5. What will be the next one? 8, that's it. Okay. So 1, 1, I should have put 1 here, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8. Okay. So you have a certain sequence and this sequence is what is called Fibonacci sequence. Where does it arise? It arises in trying to present the number of possibilities that you can have given a number of certain number of beats. Okay? Given 4 beats, you will have 5 possibilities. Given 5 beats, you will have 8 possibilities. Given 6 beats, you will have 5 plus 8, 13 possibilities. Right? This is how the Fibonacci numbers arise in the study of metrical patterns. Okay, keep this in mind. So this is just some mathematical form of representation. So F1 is equal to F2. It is just a recurrence relation. But then in 2023, some book has been written, and here the author says, see, so this first recurrence relation seemed to appear in mathematics. One of the first recurrence relations. In fact, so we have this in our tradition long back. Okay, even Aryabhata has given several recurrence relations. So this is just a, so this we will, this is some interesting pattern. We will leave this. Okay, so for you to have a certain appreciation of how patterns appear, see this metrical composition in other languages, we don't find a very rich variety of meters appearing, but some of them are available in Latin, which has been taken by the English literature. For instance, Shakespeare primarily employs, this is what scholars say, pentaiambic meter. So there is something called iamb, so there are dactyl and so on and so forth. There are several, but not much. So here you have hundreds and hundreds of varieties. Okay. Now the sutra also presents very interesting relations. So here I will just show you one sutra which is very, very interesting. So 832, I told you this 8th chapter has 35 sutras. Just towards the end you have an interesting sutra which essentially presents the sum of the geometric sequence. See, 2 plus 2 to the 2 plus 2 to the 3 and so on and so forth. If I have n, suppose I were to put n is equal to 26. Okay. Suppose I give you 2 syllables, how many patterns can you have? No, 2 syllables, the number of patterns, lagu lagu, guru lagu, lagu guru, guru guru, correct? So 2 syllables you will have 4 patterns, 3 syllables 8 patterns. No, that is matra is different. So the 2 things, matra is different, you count the number of beats and how you can arrange the lagu guru pattern. The variation, so this is what I showed you here. See, so I start with guru guru guru, end with lagu lagu lagu, right? Given 3 syllables I can have 8 patterns, given 4 syllables I will have 2 to the power of 4. Each one can have 2 patterns and therefore 4 syllables 2 to the power of 4. Okay. So this is varna vritta and matra vritta, we should just keep in mind. So here it is occurring in that context I just wanted to give you. So suppose I give you n syllables, the number of patterns that you can have is 2 to the power of n. So somewhere to ask you that given the n syllables, so you start with see 0 syllable I will not have any pattern. Okay, there is only one you can just say. If I have 1 syllable I can have 2 patterns, it can be either laghu or guru, right? If I add 1 more, then I can have 4 patterns 2 to the power 2. If one were to ask how many patterns that you can have up to n syllable, then this is the count that you have to make, 2 plus 2 to the power of 2 plus 2 to the power of 3 plus 2 to the power of n. This is just a geometric sequence and the result is 2 to the n plus 1 minus 2. This is what has been stated in this sutra, Dvirdvyunam tadantanam. See, it's a little difficult to understand this. Dvihi tadantanam. See, those who know little Sanskrit. So, tat ante vidyate iti tadanta. Suppose n syllable is 2 to the n. Tadantanam ya sankhya. Okay. So, tadantanam sankhya will be 2 to the n. See, dvihi when you say, you multiply 2 tadanta, 2 to the n plus 1 you will have. Dvyunam, you subtract 2 from that, 2 to the n plus 1 minus 2. This is the relation. Anyway, this is geometrical. So, there is an interesting verse which actually gives this number. See, Shadvimshatis saptashatani chaiva tatha sahasranyapi saptapanktihi lakshani drigveda susammitani kotyastatha ramanisha karaisyuhu. See, it uses something called bhuta sankhya. Rama means 3, nishakara. Nishakara, moon, very good. So it refers to number 1. Okay. Now you see 1, 3, you get right. Nishakara is 1, Rama is 3, that is the number of kotis. Then Drik means eyes, Veda means 4, you have 42. That is the number of Laksha. So 13 crores, 42 lakhs, 17,726. Okay. Why did they restrict to 2 to the 26? Because the number of variations that you can up to this up to 26 syllables you can have is this number. Okay. So this is what this verse basically says. The meters, when they are classified, see, you have Vasanta Tilaka 14, you have Malini 15, in 17 you have a varieties. So all these are there. So if you were to consider all the possibilities, then this is the number that you will have. After 26, there is nothing like Varna Vritta in the composition. That is why they have given this verse with 26 into consideration. Okay, this I will skip. Just look at this. The first chapter is Dhi Shri Stream Varasai Kaguhar Vasudhas Satekvat Kadasaj Kimbadab Nahasan. So these are the sutras. I will just give you. Nahasan means Na is short, Ha is short, Sa is short. This is Lagu Lagu Lagu. Remember, I told you Nagana means short, short, short. You see, Dhi Shri Stream. Magana is all long. Dhi Shri Stri. Okay. So this is how the first chapter essentially gives you all this. Second we will leave now. We may not have time to discuss all that. So this is a passage from Rig Veda. So this Rig Veda is a certain revelation to various rishis, and it has been transmitted to us thousands of years back, we don't know. And later when people were trying to analyze the structure of these mantras that are available, they found certain patterns and then they developed this Chandas Shastra. This is our understanding. So for instance, you see, Aham Rudre Bhirvasuhu Bhishcharam Yahamadityi Ruta Vishwadevaihi. So when you chant this, you find a certain rhythm and you try to analyze the rhythm and then try to find the pattern. This is what has happened. So I told you that these are the sutras. This last letter that has been tagged to them indicates the earlier pattern. Magana means long, long, long. So Jagana, you remember, Kada Saj, short, long, short. Okay, just remember Jagana because we will be using it later. Okay, one more thing that I wanted to tell you here is this sutra Gante. See, Gante, the previous sutra is Grill. Grill means Laghu. Gr, you use only a short time to pronounce, right? Suppose I say Gi, Stri, I take 2 beats of time. Suppose I say Gr, you use short. Therefore, that indicator is L. Laghu is short. That is given by the sutra Grill. Okay. Next sutra is of importance to us, Gante. Ante means at the end. Okay. Suppose I have, see, some of you should be familiar with many stotras. So where Purushottama, suppose I say, if the verse ends with Purushottama, Tama, Ta is short, Ma is also short. But then when you leave Purushottama, you just prolong it. And therefore, even if a Laghu appears at the end, since the time taken to pronounce is little longer, it is treated as a Guru. Okay? This is a general principle. That's what this tells. Gante means Ante Vidyamanaha Laghuhu api Guruhu Bhavati. This is how you have to understand. Okay. This then Dhradi Paraha means, so if the letter is going to be a conjunct consonant in the next one, then the short one will also be considered as a long. I will give you with an example. You just see this. Vidyunmala. V is short. But then the next word is vid. You understand? The next is vid. Therefore, the short will also be considered as a long. Then dyun. Dyu is short, but then in follows. Therefore, that is also Guru. See, Vidyunmala. See, when you pronounce, V may look short, Dyu may look short, but when you combine them, Vidyunmala, the time taken to pronounce all of them is. Therefore, whenever a conjunct consonant appears in the beginning, the previous one will be treated as, even if it is Laghu, it will be treated as a Guru. Okay, this should be understood. Okay, in this Vidyunmala, Okay? So all are Guru. This you have to keep in mind. Dhradi Paraha. This is what the sutra says. So this we will leave. Now I am going to take you to this Arya meter. So in detail. For that I need to introduce certain things. This is just to have a flavor of how proficient our people have been in composing verses. So this is a very beautiful verse where you will see there are 16 syllables per quarter, but the entire verse 64 syllables have been composed only in Laghu. See, so it's not easy. So these are certain compositions which people attempt. See, Madakala Khaga Kula Kala Rava Mukharini. This is how it goes. Vikasita Sarasija Parimala Surabhini. So this is an interesting composition. The description here also is really beautiful, but we don't have time. I am not going to take you through that. But just to give you a flavor, there are verses which are composed completely with Laghu. You can also think of verses which are completely composed in Guru, right? And you can have a mixture of Laghu and Guru, which is the normal composition. Okay? There you try to recognize a certain pattern and then you try to classify them and give some name. It is like having Saptaswaras, and then if certain pattern appears, then you give it as Kalyani. If it is Mecha Kalyani, then you give some names. It is like this. We essentially try to deal with the prosody, okay? Poetry also. This is what you need to keep in mind. Okay. This also can be left out. Now, I am going to introduce you to a certain class of verses which are composed based on the count of the beats, and the standard name is Arya. Okay? Arya here refers to a certain kind of metrical composition where the count of the beats is important, not the syllables. Okay, this is Arya. You would have heard about Aryabhatiyam. Have you heard Aryabhata at least? Right? Aryabhata has composed an important work called Aryabhatiyam. Right? It deals with mathematics and astronomy. The entire work has been composed in Arya meter. Okay? So it is not because of the reason that it is composed in Arya meter, it is called Aryabhatiyam. This person is called Aryabhata, therefore his composition is called Aryabhatiyam, and it incidentally happens that it is all in Arya meter. Okay? So that is all I will tell you. Now, what is the definition of this Arya? This is what has been presented to us in the Chandas Shastra. It says, Swara Ardhancha Aryardham. Okay? Swara Ardhancha Aryardham. See, some of you would be at least familiar with this. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. We say this, right? So you find 4 padas, Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, right? Guru Devo Maheshwaraha. Normally, a metrical composition has 4 padas. Okay? And what will be the pattern in these 4 padas, etc.? Either number of syllables or the patterns, there are various possibilities. In the case of Arya meter, this Pingala's Chandas Shastra does not give the definition of a pada. Here he uses the word ardham. See? Aryardham means half of an Arya. And what does he say? Swara ardhancha. The word swara here stands for 7. Okay? So swara means 7 and ardham means you add one more. Now I will take back for a moment you to this slide where you found this. See, so this n is equal to 4. I told you even in the earlier slide, this is why I showed you this. After every 4 beats you give a break. This is called a gana. Okay? there are 5 possible variations with 4 beats. Keep in mind. So these can be given some names, and what will be this? Laghu Guru Laghu? Which Gana? Jagana. Very good. Keep this in mind. Okay, Guru Guru is a possibility, Jagana is a possibility, Lau is a possibility. Okay, Laghu and a Nagana, that is Lau. Okay. Now with this we will move forward to this Arya meter, that is important for us. So here Swara Ardhancha, when he says half of the Arya will constitute 7 ganas and a half gana. So what will be the total number of beats? 7 into 4 plus 2. Okay, 28. 7 into 4 plus 2. Ardham. See, a gana has 4 beats. Swara 7 into 4 plus 2, you will have 30. This is what we understand. Okay. So this is how he defines. So the commentators will elaborate here, saying that in Arya we do not actually consider Pada, and therefore this is how the Sutrakara wanted to define. Okay, it basically is divided by this. So this is what is the understanding. This is really a beautiful verse. I will leave this, but you just take this. This is Guru Guru, Guru Guru. See, Guru Laghu Laghu, Guru Guru. This is 4 Laghus. Then what is this Gana? Jagana. Remember? Okay. So then we have Guru Guru, and then Ardham means you have 2 more beats. This is what you have to keep in mind. Now come to the second half of this verse. Again you find, so 4 beats, 4 beats up to 5th. The 6th one here is just only 1. Okay, 1 matra instead of having 4 matras. Oh, so Aniket is here. Very good. 4 matras, and then Guru Guru, and then we have a Guru here. Okay. Okay. Now there is a possibility that both, see, first half can also have 30 beats, second half can also have 30 beats, but generally the first half has 30 beats, second half has 27 beats. Okay. So this is what you keep in mind. Now, having defined Arya, he says Atra Ayung Naju. Yuk is even, Ayuk means odd, Na is a negation, Ja stands for Jagana. What does the sutra mean? The odd ones cannot be Jagana. Ayuk na J. So what he means by odd one is 1 cannot be a Jagana, 3 cannot be a Jagana, 5 cannot be a Jagana. Is it clear? Ayuk na J. This is another constraint that is imposed when you compose Arya. Then there is one more constraint, Shashtho J. This means the 6th one has to be a Jagana. Understand? Shashtho J. This is what this sutra means. Is it clear? Ayung na J, Shashtho J. Now let us move on. The next sutra says Nlauva. Nlauva means the 6th one can be either Jagana, or the possibility is you can have all Laghus. Nlau stands for Nagana and a Laghu. Okay, see this example here. So here you find Laghu, 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 Laghu. So go to the previous verse. You had this Laghu Guru Laghu. Here you have all Laghus. This is also admissible. Okay. So there are a few constraints which are imposed over and above the general definition which has been stated. This is what you have to keep in mind. Okay, this constraint we can forget now. Nauched Dvitiyadi, this we can leave. Saptamaha Prathamadi, this also we can leave. Now, I am going to give you an interesting example which some of you may be familiar. See, you have this verse read, that Makhi Bhaki Phaki. You have read this, right? In Aryabhatiya. What does it give you? First order sign differences, right? So this is a famous verse. So those of you who are interested, you can go and search in the web there is an interesting article written by a famous scientist, Roddam Narasimha, in one of the famous magazines in Science. So, the terse verse is the title of the article. He just writes one-page article on this verse. So, let us not worry about the mathematical content of this. This basically gives you certain numbers. Okay? So, that is what you find. You just see at the bottom of the screen 225. Makhi stands for 225. Bhakhi stands for 224. Phakhi stands for 222 and so on. Okay? Let us not worry about that. Now, given the pattern, I wanted to tell you something. So, here what you find here is, this is the standard verse that is available in the printed text. See, Makhi, Bhakhi, Phakhi, Dhaki, Nakhi, Nyaki, Haskas, Kaki, Kishkas, Khagi, Khigwa. You will see that totally the number of beats will be 30 here. Okay? So, we had this definition, Swara Ardhancha. Is it clear? You have this 7 and then Ardham, you have this Guru at the end. Okay? Though the last one is a Laghu, in principle, it should be taken as a Guru because it ends there. So, we will keep this principle. Now, wherever I have marked there, it is a 6th Gana. What did the Sutra say? 6th has to be a Jagana, but what you find here is Guru Guru. So, there seems to be a violation. The number that you get will be all fine. The option that were given is, see, Shashto J and the next one is Nlauva. These are the two possibilities that are given for the 6th Gana. There seems to be a problem here. This is number 1. Number 2, see, the reason I am bringing this to your attention is, when you compose something in a certain metrical pattern where the rules have been clearly stated, then over a period of time, if you see that these rules are somehow not found in the verse, then there is a way to understand. See, after all, the oral tradition has been there. So, we will be able to see that there is a problem here, and then we can try to fix them. So, that is some interesting thing that we need to keep in mind when we present things. So, it is very useful to keep things in mind, to quickly memorize and retain in the oral tradition. Besides that, it will also facilitate us in trying to ensure that it does not get corrupted easily. Okay? So, this is something which we need to keep. Now, go to this. So, the second half. So, here you see, so it has to divide as 4, 4, 4. So, if we see this cha, it is followed by a conjunct consonant. So, therefore, I may be compelled to, see, normally I will be compelled to call this as a Guru. Okay? But then, if you consider it as a Guru, then there is a problem here. You will not be able to. So, this is, let me tell you one thing here. Okay. See, here, this is 7, both have the same number of beats, the first half and the second half. Okay. I told you there are variations in Arya. You can have 30 and 27. You can have 27 and 27. You can have 30 and 30. And this 30 and 30 is called Arya. Giti. Okay. It is called Giti. Okay. One can call it as Arya Giti or simply as Giti. Okay. So, this is something which, okay. Now, come to this. So, this is something which we note here. How do we resolve? So, I just felt that this could be a possibility to resolve this. Okay. So, what was given here is Kish Ghash Ghaki. Okay. So, what we can do is Kisha Ghasha Ghaki. Suppose you put. Then what happens is it follows this now pattern rather than Jagana. So, therefore, it simply fits into this. How do we explain this? So, here we have beautiful verse in Vrittaratnakara. So, time is up? No? Okay, very good. See, this verse is, see, Padada Vihavarnasya Sanyogah Kramasamnyakaha Purasthitena Tena Syat Laghutapi, there is a typo here, Laghutapi Kvachit Guroho. So this is something which is a license which has been given. What does it tell you? It tells you Varnasya Sanyogaha Kramasamnyakaha. It has been given a certain name, but that is not of importance to us. Purasthitena Tena Syat Laghutapi Kvachit Guroho. So Padadav, this is very important. Now here there is a certain Pada division also which is considered, and after 12 beats it is considered as one Pada. Okay, this need not necessarily be followed, but it will be generally taken. So if there is a break here at the 12th syllable, then you have this license. So this Guru can also be taken as a Laghu. Okay, and therefore we don't find anything which is wrong with the Aryabhatiya verse. Okay, so this seems to be a correction which may be required, is what my feeling is. Okay, I am just coming to the end of my talk. See, this further constraints on Arya. So there are, I'll just tell you for those who are familiar with Arya. So you have something called Pathya, you have something called Vipula, you have something called Chapala, and so on. These are some finer variations in Arya. How many minutes I have? Minute? Okay, I'm just concluding. See, this Adyardha Sama Gitihi, I told you, first half and the second half, if they are same, you call it as Giti. So most of the first chapter Aryabhatiya verses, in the first section I would say, so it's all composed in Giti, but for one or two verses. Then there is something called Arya Giti, where you will have 32 beats and 32 beats, okay, in both forms. Now, this is what I wanted to tell you. Suppose one were to pose this question, okay, how many possible variations you can have in the Arya meter of composition? So if you work out something, then this will turn out to be a very large number. See, I'll just tell you the idea here. See, it told you that you cannot have Jagana, right? You cannot have Jagana in the odd places. That imposes a constraint. So out of the 5 possibilities, you can have only 4. So if you just keep counting this, and you finally consider, it will turn out to be a huge number, something like 81 crore, 19 lakhs, and so on. Okay, this is something which is very interesting. This is the last slide. So what I wanted to convey to you was, people seem to have been having a lot of fun in trying to find out how many possibilities in principle are possible. See, not all possibilities will be necessarily explored, but there is an interesting study which seems to have gone in trying to find out the possibilities that one can have given these are the rules which have to be observed. So this is one aspect. This Anushtup verse which we are actually familiar with can in principle have 2 to the 8, which means 256 variations. But we have a few of them. See, the standard one is something we can, that is actually an Ardha Samavritta. Anyway, so this can have 256, but at least some 4 or 5 variations are employed of the 256. But in the case of Arya, one can think of really a huge number of variations which is possible, and that is why people have looked into this in great length. Okay, so the entire binary arithmetic is something which can be seen. A lot of combinatorial tools can be found. I did not explain this great detail, this Nashta, Uddishta, Prastara, but there is a lot of things there to be studied. And all that one can note in Pingala's work is that he seems to have gone like a pure mathematician and then did something. And various people have further developed and made it a very beautiful science. Thank you. Namaste.
Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Jai Guru Raya. Thank you, sir. Thank you for the enlightening session. And I never knew there is an existence of mathematics in poetry. Honestly, I'm not from this background. It was so interesting for me to listen. And source of algorithm, binary numbers, these are something, because I'm from fintech. By listening to these verses, and so many of research is being done, usually my students question us, what is the purpose of history to study? I really want them to today to witness these things. To my knowledge, a country without studying history has not become developed. Correct me if I'm wrong in that case. So today we are very proud, Devaki Veda Patasala and Yogi Ram Ashram, today we are conducting this conference to give the importance of ancient history. Thank you, and we are very proud. And before we go to the next session, I would like to invite Auditor Sri Suresh, a trustee of Devaki Veda Patasala of Yogi Ramsuratkumar Ashram, to honor Professor Ramasubramanian and present him with a memento. Please, sir.